2 days after my wedding, I opened my laptop, expecting a warm congratulations from my parents. Instead, I was greeted by something that felt like a punch in the gut, an invoice. Every flower, every chair, every dish we'd served was meticulously itemized, as if I were a stranger they had merely hosted rather than their own daughter. At the bottom, the bold total glared back at me, $36,000. This was the same couple who had given my sister, Lily, $400,000 for her wedding. My husband, Tom, froze beside me. "What is this?" he asked quietly. I thought the betrayal was the shocking part, but the real impact hit when someone started knocking on the door. I grew up in a quiet suburb, where every house looked perfect, freshly trimmed lawns, matching holiday wreaths, driveways lined with identical silver SUVs. My parents, Daniel and Marilyn Ward, fit that picture flawlessly. Outwardly, they were the admired, composed couple, successful, cheerful, polite. Anyone glancing in would assume our family was close-knit and normal. Behind closed doors, however, everything revolved around Lily. She was 4 years older than me, effortlessly commanding attention wherever she went. My parents adored her, praised her grades, displayed her trophies, and bragged about her accomplishments constantly. When Lily wanted something, a phone, new clothes, anything, she got it immediately. Meanwhile, I grew up in hand-me-downs, learning to stretch my genes across multiple school years and to accept their character-building philosophy quietly. By the time I turned 16, I had started working, not because they insisted, but because I wanted things they refused to buy for me. The favoritism was subtle, almost invisible, a soft pat on Lily's shoulder here, a door closed in my face there. Holidays were the same. Lily picked the restaurants, the activities, the movies. I learned to shrink, to blend in, to be invisible. By the time I moved to the city for college and began my career as a software engineer, I had built an independent life, a protective armor that worked most of the time. Then I met Tom Alvarez. He came from a warm, grounded family who treated me with an ease I hadn't known. His mother hugged me the first time we met. His father asked thoughtful questions. His siblings included me effortlessly. Tom saw the quiet, careful parts of me, the way I minimized myself to avoid being overlooked, and he didn't let me hide them. When he proposed last year, it felt gentle, steady, right. My parents' reaction almost startled me. They asked about the venue, the caterers, and insisted on covering every cost. After seeing how much they'd gifted Lily, it shouldn't have shocked me, but it did. Not for the money, but because for once, I allowed myself to believe they truly wanted to celebrate me as they had her. Our wedding was small, intimate, exactly what Tom and I wanted. In a quiet garden outside the city, string lights hung low, soft music drifted between tables, and our closest friends smiled around us. My parents arrived early, complimented the venue, hugged me, and cheerfully offered to settle all expenses. It wasn't the lavish affair that Lily had, the one that made society pages, but it felt genuine, ours. For a fleeting moment, I thought something had shifted. I thought maybe, finally, I was seen. My mother dabbed at her eyes during our first dance. My father praised Tom's vows. That night, I went to sleep believing in change. 2 days later, reality hit. I was sitting among half-opened gifts when I opened my laptop, expecting a sweet note or photos. Instead, the subject line read, "Wedding payments." I assumed it was just a receipt. It wasn't. It was a full invoice, every detail itemized, the flowers, the appetizers, the chairs, even the string lights. The total stared at me like a verdict, $36,000. I froze. Tom came over with coffee. "Elena, what is this?" "I don't know," I whispered. But deep down, I knew. Every forgotten birthday, every hand-me-down, every moment told to wait because Lily needed something first, it all pointed here. This was the same story dressed in prettier packaging. Then my phone buzzed. Hope you received the invoice. Please settle this soon. We agreed this was the responsible thing to do. Responsible? My chest tightened. They had insisted on paying, yet now they were billing me. I had never asked for a single cent. I never expected my parents to match the $400,000 they'd gifted Lily for her wedding. I wasn't keeping score. But this cold, deliberate bill, felt like they'd set up a trap and waited for me to fall into it. Tom paced the room, fingers dragging through his hair. There's no way they're serious, Elena. This is unbelievable. But my parents had always been serious when money was involved, especially when it came to deciding who deserved it. I kept reopening the email, praying I'd missed some hint that it was a joke. A winking emoji. A comment hidden at the bottom. Anything. But all I saw was the invoice, the expectation, and the sinking realization that all the affection they'd shown at the wedding wasn't love, it was a performance. That night, as the sun faded behind the skyline, I sifted through years of memories, Lily getting the newest phone while I patched mine together with tape. Lily receiving brand new clothes while mine came in a donation bag. Lily handed $400,000 with pride, while I was handed a bill. For the first time, I didn't swallow the hurt or rationalize it away. I didn't soften the blow for myself. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was deliberate. And it became the turning point I didn't know I needed. I barely slept after the invoice arrived. Tom tried to comfort me, but my mind looped through the same painful details, the breakdown of costs, the tone of the email, the expectation that I would quietly accept this just like I had accepted everything else. By dawn, something inside me settled into place. Not numbness, clarity. If this was who my parents chose to be, then I had to choose who I would be. Tom sat across from me, concern written all over him. What do you want to do about it? I'm going to pay it, I said. His eyes widened. You don't owe them anything. I know. My voice didn't waver. But I'm paying it so they can never use money to control me again. I opened my checkbook and wrote out the full amount. Each stroke of the pen felt like reclaiming something I hadn't realized I'd lost, my dignity, my boundaries, my voice. For once, I wasn't bargaining. I wasn't trying to justify myself. I wasn't pretending everything was equal. Tom squeezed my hand gently. Whatever happens, I'm here. I tucked the check into an envelope. But I wasn't finished. I wrote a letter, calm, clear, and painfully honest. I told them how deeply the invoice hurt me, how their promise had felt like a setup, and how this wasn't just about a bill but about a lifetime of unequal treatment and subtle manipulation. I told them I would never again accept money, gifts, or financial help, not even an inheritance. Then I wrote the hardest sentence of my life. This will be the last financial exchange between us. I sealed the envelope and mailed it before doubt could creep in. The rest of the day passed in silence. No call from my mother, no message from my father. It should have been peaceful, but instead it felt like a storm building on the horizon. The next morning, the storm hit. My phone exploded with messages from extended family, an aunt I barely spoke to, cousins who rarely remembered my birthday, even a distant uncle who lived 3 states away. Every message said some version of the same thing. How could you treat your parents like this? They were teaching you responsibility. You're blowing this out of proportion. You need to apologize. It was astonishing how quickly the narrative had been flipped. My parents had clearly been busy rewriting the story. Tom glanced at the barrage of messages and muttered, "Just block them." Every one of them. I didn't. Not yet. I needed to see how far they'd take it. Then an email came in, from an address I didn't recognize at first. A work account. It was from my mother. Elena, the invoice was never meant to be real. It was supposed to teach you responsibility. We planned to give you $100,000 once you proved you were mature enough to handle expenses. Please don't overreact. I stared at the words. A lesson. A test. A gift dangled like a treat for obedience. Tom looked over my shoulder and shook his head. I can't believe this. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my banking app and deposited the unused check they had given us months ago for wedding expenses, money I had never spent. I wanted to make sure the funds were back in their account, undeniable and documented. Their test was over. My response was final. That evening, my phone rang again, this time from a number I recognized. My father's younger brother, Uncle Aaron. A man who always seemed half detached from the rest of the family. When I picked up, his voice was calm but heavy. Elena, I heard what's happening. I've been in your shoes before. That was the moment everything clicked into place. This wasn't new behavior. I wasn't the first target. And if nothing changed, I wouldn't be the last. We met the next afternoon at a small cafe nestled on a quiet corner downtown. Uncle Aaron stirred his coffee, eyes following the slow swirl. Your grandparents did this to me, he finally said. Money was their way of controlling everyone. When I pushed back, they turned the family against me. Your parents learned that pattern. A cold heaviness settled in my chest. So this goes back generations? He nodded. Some families use warmth. Some use guilt. Yours uses money. When I walked out of the cafe, the sun felt different, sharper, warmer. Because for the first time, I fully understood what I was up against. And I finally knew what needed to happen next. 2 evenings later, just as the sky began to melt into orange. I was in the bedroom folding a stack of laundry when the front door shook beneath a violent bang. Then another. Then a third, each one louder than the last. Elena. A voice screeched from the hallway. Open this door right now. Tom glanced up from the couch, startled. Is that? Yes, I said, my stomach nodding. It's Lily. My sister, the family's long-standing favorite, the son everyone else revolved around, was now outside our apartment pounding the door like she intended to break it down. Her shouts ricocheted through the corridor. I walked toward the entryway slowly, deliberately. Tom followed a few steps behind, protective but letting me take the lead. I didn't open the door. I simply stood there, listening. You are unbelievable, Elena. Lily screamed, her voice rough from rage. You actually paid the invoice. Why would you do that? Why would you humiliate Mom and Dad like this? Humiliate. The word scraped across my nerves. She slammed the door again. They were trying to help you. They were giving you a chance. And you twisted it into some big, dramatic disaster. My fingers curled, not from fear, but from the clarity of finally seeing things for what they were. Lily wasn't malicious, she was conditioned. She'd been raised to believe everything she received was deserved, and everything I received was negotiable. Want me to call security? Tom whispered. Not yet, I said. I want to hear exactly what she thinks she's doing. Lily's voice grew louder, so close I knew her face had to be pressed to the peephole. You have no idea how much they cried over this. Mom tried to explain the lesson you were supposed to learn. If you weren't being so self-centered, you would understand. A neighbor opened their door. Another peeked around the corner. Lily didn't notice any of them, she was too absorbed in her outrage. Quietly, I lifted my phone and started recording. She kept ranting. And now look. The whole family is talking about your meltdown. Everyone thinks you're acting spoiled. Honestly, I agree, you could have just accepted the invoice and kept your mouth shut. Tom's jaw tightened. I rested my hand on his arm to steady us both. And now you've cut contact, she snapped. Seriously? Over money? Over a misunderstanding? God, Elena, everything always has to be about you. The irony nearly made me laugh. For my entire life, everything had been about her. I finally spoke, my voice calm and unshaken. You need to leave, Lily. A beat of silence followed. Oh, so you're there, she said coldly. Open the door. No. Why not? Because you're not here to talk, I said. You're here to demand I fall back in line. And I'm done doing that. She scoffed. What are you even talking about? You want obedience, not conversation. You want me to pretend this family has always been fair. I'm not pretending anymore. Her voice sharpened. Stop psychoanalyzing me. You're the issue here. No, I said softly. I'm just telling the truth for once. She let out a shaky, angry laugh. You're ridiculous. Mom and Dad were trying to teach you responsibility. They were going to surprise you with $100,000 afterward. And you ruined all of it. This isn't about money, I said. Yes, it is. No, I repeated, firmly. It's about control. That shut her up. For a moment, all I heard was her unsteady breathing. So what now? She finally whispered. You're done with us. With the entire family? Yes, I said calmly. Until the cycle changes. A weak, angry breath escaped her. Fine. Throw your family away. But don't come crawling back when you realize you're alone. I'm not alone, I said, turning toward Tom. Not even close. A few moments later, her footsteps retreated down the hall. A distant door slammed. Silence settled over the apartment, heavy but liberating. Tom slipped his arms around me from behind, resting his chin on my shoulder. I'm proud of you, he murmured. Just then, my phone buzzed. A new voicemail, from my father. I pressed play. Elena, his voice was soft, almost unfamiliar. I don't want to keep fighting. This has gone too far. If you're willing, I'd like to meet. Just to talk. Tom met my eyes. Do you want to? Yes, I said. I think I need to. The next afternoon, I met my father at a small cafe by the river. He looked older, shoulders curved inward, exhaustion etched into his face. On the table lay the check I'd mailed him. He slid it toward me. We don't want this, he said quietly. Take it back. I pushed it back without hesitation. No. He swallowed. Elena, it's not about the money anymore. It never was, I replied. And for the first time in my life, he had no rebuttal. After that meeting, something inside me finally loosened. The pressure I'd lived under for years seemed to dissolve. My parents stopped contacting me. The extended family fell silent. For once, the quiet didn't feel ominous. It felt like peace. That weekend, Tom's family invited us for dinner. His mother hugged me tightly. His father saved me the last slice of pie. And sitting there at their table, I finally understood what family was supposed to feel like: steady, effortless, loving. I knew nothing would ever be perfect. But the old chains were gone. For the first time, my future belonged entirely to me. The invoice wasn't the real betrayal. The real betrayal was how long I had accepted scraps and called it love. Setting boundaries didn't break my family. It broke the pattern. And if you've ever been the overlooked one, the quiet one, the one asked to shrink to keep the peace, just know. You're not alone. And you're not crazy for wanting better. Share your story in the comments. Tell me what part struck you most. And follow so you don't miss what comes next.